Okay, now we'll understand the variable scope. It is very important to understand the variable scope because the scope works differently in different programming languages. For example, if you take C as a baseline, any variable which you declare inside the flavor brackets is local to that particular flavor brackets itself. Okay, like for example, if you define any variable in if block, then that variable will be local to that particular if block. So I think it is same in most of other programming languages too. But there JavaScript is bit different. How it works is like any variable which you declare is global variable unless that variable is part of any function. So any variable which you declare as part of function will be local to that particular function, but everything else which you declare outside the function is a global variable. Okay, so let's test that and see it for ourselves. Okay, so just open a new file, varscope.js. Okay, so I would recommend that you do hands-on instead of just listening to this, because that's the way you learn any programming languages, by making your hands dirty, right? Just start coding so that you get comfortable with that language. Okay, so let's declare a variable here. I will say var I is equal to 10. Okay, and then let's put an if block, and I'll say if 1 equal to 1, which is always true. 1 is equal to 1, right? Always. So it always goes into that loop, and I'll assign another variable with the same name var I is equal to 3. Okay, and then I will just do I plus plus, and here I will console log, right, console dot log of this I, and see what value it returns. Okay, so generally if you do this test in any of the programming languages like C, you should see the value as 10, right, because this variable should have been local to this particular if block, right, but in JavaScript everything is global. So what happens is if you just refresh, you will get it as 4, because here the I value is 10, and then once you came here the same I value became 3, though you have defined it again using var. It hasn't considered this as a local variable, right? It has considered it as the same I, and it has reassigned the value to 3, and it has updated the value, right? It has just done this plus plus, and it has updated this value to 4, and the same value got printed here. Okay, so that's how it works. So we need to remember the variable scope very carefully, and this is very important while we get into any issues, right? And if we want to debug, right? So we need to consider the scope. Okay, so let's move further.